You're such an ass. Making me laugh as it goes. Anyway, sorry. Welcome to that F1 show. I'm Alan, and the other voice you'll hear is Roger. Or if you're watching the video, you can see Roger. We are just two F1 fans who love talking about it, so decided to record our chats. It's a way for us to hang out and also hopefully keep you entertained and introduce some people to Formula One. So, with that said, there's going to be probably a lot that we've missed or that you've missed over the pre-season. So, first big thing that happened, I suppose, at the start of this week, Roger, was Max Verstappen news. Did you hear
Yeah.
that?
New contract signed.
Absolutely.
Big one. To 2028. 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years. Although
Crazy.
I think they say it's in addition to his current contract, which runs until the end of next season. So I don't know whether does that mean it starts now and he gets paid on top of that, or because you'd think if he's getting whatever it is, 40 million
Yeah.
quid,
Yeah.
does he just knows he's getting paid that as of next year, like a pay review, or does he get that now? You'd imagine it would sort of void current contract and start afresh. No,
Yeah. It is. Whenever I seen it straight away, the thing that struck me most was it's such a long length of time in sport, in anything, especially in Formula One as well. If you think it wasn't this season, obviously he won the championship this season or last season, but the season before that, whenever he didn't start well, there was already talk early on in the season that if he didn't win the championship soon, that he could just leave Red Bull and go to another team. Like that's only a season and a half ago. Yet now, because he's won one, he's now signing it for 5 years. That's a big thing. Whenever Honda as a engine provider were also him in hand, like what are we going to do? It's a new year as well, so he's really, for someone who wants and is young enough to go after Michael Schumacher and Hamilton's 7 world championships. For him to go after that, which he could do, he's putting 5 of those years into Red Bull. So big move. What do you think? Do you think it's a smart one?
I don't know. It's different with like Formula One because other than a serious crash, which obviously is very possible, um, I suppose it's not that much of a risk because it's like different in other sports like football or whatever.
Yeah,
You could break your leg second game in, and then all of a sudden, although I'm sure there's clauses for that. But yeah, I don't know like how many Formula One championships or champions have just won one. Like
yeah,
one doesn't not one's incredible, but there's very few that have gone on to multiple.
yeah,
So they're putting a lot of faith in him.
yeah,
But
yeah.
then at the same time, he's in my opinion, the second best driver in the grid. So why wouldn't you pay him the big bucks? Speaking of, the article I read said now this is in pounds, they said euros, but £33 million and £41.7 million. So if you take like in between, that works out. That's about £37.5 million, which I think he's getting it this season.
Yeah.
But maybe so take that 6 years instead of 5 years. So 6 years between now and 2028. That's £225 million, which
That's
is
crazy.
absolutely mad. It works out something like in the last 3 hours, he's made more than I make this year.
It's
Bonkers.
like it's so much money. I know you put a post up this week saying like you put a picture of him up whenever he's really young. Saying, could you imagine telling what age was he in that photo?
I think like 11 or
11,
12.
like telling an 11-year-old that whenever you're what 20, 23, what age is he now? 23, 24? Is he
Yeah.
around that? Something around that. Like that you're going to be on that amount of money. If you were to tell an 11-year-old you'd get 210 million or like
6 Hot Wheels cars. Actually, no. As an 11-year-old, maybe
that,
not. My 2-year-old, maybe, but not
yeah,
an 11-year-old.
2 year old, yeah, maybe what PS5,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
PS5. You never know, but yeah, so it is. It's a lot of money. Definitely
And
is.
I wonder how it's split up because, like, say in, um, like, it's very American to like compound, like to add that all together and say he's on a 225 million quid contract, whereas opposed like in football you'd say he's on 500 grand a week or
Yeah.
however it works out. But in
Yeah.
America they say like LeBron James signed a 5 year 80 million sort of thing. So but
Do you think they put his money up so that he can go around and touch Lewis's car a bit more? 50 grand here, sure, it's nothing.
absolutely. But like I wonder if
Making the
it's
millions now.
but like say in the NBA they get like a good chunk of that up front. So it's
Okay,
like
yeah,
80 million over 5 years, but maybe 20 million signing bonus, and then the
yeah,
other 60 millions paid over the 5 years. But it's just an obscene amount of money. It's
it
absolutely
is.
mad.
It
And it's
is.
amazing to get paid that and still have the drive to go forward.
Yeah,
And obviously, there's no proving that he has that. But
yeah,
like Lewis Hamilton has been getting paid that amount of money for the last like 3 or 4 seasons,
yeah,
and clearly has the drive to
yeah,
do it. Because
yeah.
like you look at like so Conor
They are.
McGregor,
They're all racers. They are. They're up for it. Like
absolutely.
there's
Like Conor
a
McGregor, no like slam on Conor. I absolutely love Conor McGregor, but there's the whole thing that since he's been paid $100 million dollars for the Floyd Mayweather fight and sold his stake in Proper 12 for however many hundreds of millions, they say he just doesn't have that
I didn't know he
drive
sold that.
to come. Yeah, no, I think he's still like part of that is obviously he's still the face of it for a certain amount of
Yeah.
time, so that's why he's still
Okay.
pushing it. But no, he sold his
Yeah.
stake. I can't remember who to. It was some. It wasn't like Diageo, but it was a company like Diageo that owns like a lot of drink brands. So,
Yeah.
what would you do with 225 million quid? If I gave you 30 million quid signing bonus right now, what would you do?
Buy 3 Hot Wheels cars. No, I don't know. I have no idea. Definitely now that lockdowns and all this stuff's over, definitely a holiday of some sort, which does not cost that amount of money, but it's a start. That a house for the family, I'd say,
Fair.
for sure. Someone who definitely won't be getting that amount of money for a race seat is Mazepin.
Such a horrible way to introduce
Oh, sorry.
it's not, no, I'm only messing, but per Mazepin. Although
He
maybe
might
not.
still get that. He might still get that amount of money, but we don't know. But
Yeah.
it won't be driving Formula One cars anyway.
He probably just has that amount of money. To be
Yeah,
honest,
it's true. So he's obviously gone. That's the news as of yesterday, a
yesterday
few days ago.
you text me this morning, but I
Yeah,
actually hadn't. I knew stuff was going on with him, but I didn't know this had
yeah,
happened. So
yeah. So obviously with the whole stuff with Russia and Ukraine the last week, 2 weeks, like that's the big thing with Haas. So it's what a start to their season. Like I know that they had whenever I remember watching Drive to Survive last season, they were just saying about to Haas. They said this because whenever the cars were meant to be the ones that are released now were meant to be released in 2021. They just put that back a year because of COVID. They said that this was pretty much like last year was a season that they were just gonna let go by, which is why they brought
just
in
get
2 or 3
through.
drivers, just getting through it. So they were just getting through it so that this year they could hit the ground running, and this has been their start. So in the middle of pre-season, they've got this whole thing to deal with. So I feel for them. I feel for them as a team that this is the way that they has to begin. But it's better happening now than the first race weekend or something. At least they've got a little bit of time to get someone in that seat, which we still don't know who it's
Yeah.
going to be.
The thing is,
Any thoughts?
the thing is, it's just like it won't really show any difference because they're bottom of the pack anyway. So it's not like
Yeah,
you'll know the
yeah,
effect
it's
it'll
true.
have.
It's
It'll
true.
just be
I do really look forward to seeing where Mick Schumacher um, is this season. If they've got a bit of a pace behind them and they're not like 2 seconds off the pack every lap, then it will be interesting to see how he drives because he did win the F2 World Championship, which Leclerc done, George Russell done. Like the guys who are up there have all won the F2. So
he's not just there because of his name.
yeah, yeah. So it'll be great to see. I hope he has a good season, and teammate we will soon see. I know there's some names that are floating around there.
Surprisingly, though, I heard the names I read were missing Giovinazzi. Well, I say
Hmm.
surprisingly to me, I would have thought he was like front runner. He did so well last year. It was probably unfortunate not to get a seat.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
But
same.
the three names that I saw were actually I can't really mind them.
Fittipaldi, was he one?
Yeah, Fittipaldi, which was he the F2 winner last year? Yes, I think he was.
Yep.
Um,
Was he? I'm not sure if he won F2. I know he's definitely not well in it. Um, I've seen him. I've seen Giovinazzi. I've seen
so
Hulkenberg, which could be fun.
oh yeah, of course. So Giovinazzi was in your on
Yeah.
your list. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. I've seen him, and then there was this like, it could be anyone else.
So the BBC put it up as under consideration of the team's reserve, Pietro Fittipaldi, he stood in for Roman Grosjean for 2 races when
Okay.
he had his horrible accident.
Yeah.
Um, the Indian Formula 2 driver, Jehan Daruvala, sorry if I butchered your name, and the Alpine reserve driver, Oscar
Daruvala. I think it's
Daruvala.
Daruvala. Daruvala. Yeah.
Daruvala.
Yeah. Okay.
And the Alpine reserve driver, Oscar
Yeah.
Piastri.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's the reigning F2 champion.
Who is?
Oscar Piastri.
Piastri. Yeah. Piastri is good. He is
Is he?
good.
Okay. Because you would
Yep.
follow F2, and
I
I'm
did.
not so much into F2.
I got into probably F2 3 years ago, just from seeing the race over at Silverstone. I was like, this is good, tight, close racing. So I got into it then and enjoy it. I really do. So it's a good watch if you've got Sky F1. The races are all on there, so highly recommend
And
watching it. But
kids who
yeah,
like cars.
yes, yes.
I
So
don't think I could get away with watching the F2 race in the morning and
yeah,
the F1
it
race in
is.
the
But
afternoon.
I think that they obviously have to this week. It's going to be tomorrow, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever they pick who that is, because they've got the next part of preseason starting this weekend coming.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
someone needs
they'll be.
like they've got to do a race, like the seat fitting. They've got to get used to the every steering wheel's different. Start to build up relationship with mechanics. So yeah, it's going to
It
be.
has been. It has been
Who do you think
a
putting him on it?
crazy
Putting him on it.
Giovinazzi.
Yeah. Okay.
Like as in, I think he's the one who's shown that he can race.
Yeah.
So if he's in consideration, but then
Yeah.
he's well, I suppose Haas are a Ferrari sort of linked team as well, aren't they?
They are,
So
and he's
that would
Italian,
work.
so it could work.
But I suppose, yeah, do you give your Oscar Piastri a try? Although he's not their reserve driver, is he? He's the Alpine reserve driver, so they would have to actually negotiate for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's whether they have the funds to do that when they've lost their title
Yeah.
sponsor or
Yeah.
cut ties with the title sponsor.
I think Giovinazzi would be a good shout. I do.
He could jump in.
Yeah, like he's got the F1 experience now.
Yeah.
Like he knows it. He knows it well. So the thing is, though, like you
Although
say, he's got the
Hulkenberg as well,
experience.
potentially.
All the cars are they're slightly different. Well, not slightly different. They say they're quite a bit different now, and how they're going to act and being able to follow closer and the way they go around the corners is quite a bit different from what the drivers been saying this week from the first part of preseason. So yeah, like you may as could you bring in a rookie again and just start from scratch? We will see.
Yeah.
I am going to go with. I would love Hulkenberg to get it. I don't think he's going to. He's like just for his age and everything. I think Haas need to think
Long
future.
term.
So I would say I'll go with Fittipaldi. If you're going with the other one, we'll see who
I'll go
gets.
with Piastri then. And
Yeah,
then Duruvala. We'll get it.
Derivla.
Duruvala. I just put an emphasis on a different
Yeah,
part of the name,
yeah.
But it
I
is.
could be saying it wrong, but just from how they
Oh,
pronounce it on TV.
well, yeah. I think having watched it and me having not, I think we'll probably stick with your pronunciation. But it's bonkers how fast it's all worked like gone. So like you've got Putin invades Ukraine, and then you've got all the various like sporting organizations like UEFA, FIFA, eventually the Olympic Committee, like all pulling
Yeah,
their Russian and Belarusian athletes out or banning them. Sorry, not pulling them out, banning them. And then the FIA says it won't stop Russian and Belarusian athletes competing. And then, but at the same time
Has
as that, British
okay.
Motorsport say
Oh
that
yes.
you're saying they can race, but we're saying they won't race in the UK. So then all of a sudden you're like, okay, Mazepin, he's still with Haas, but he's not going to be at Silverstone. So then, oh, who jumps in at Silverstone, sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And then, so that was almost the last I heard. Well, actually, the last I heard was then that Mazepin would have to sign like a waiver or like a document, was how it was put across, basically to say that he will not like mention in any political way the whole situation in
Yeah.
Ukraine, if
Yeah.
not denouncing it. I'm not sure what their status was. So before you texted me this morning, that was the last I'd heard, was that
Yeah.
Mazepin has to sign and then he can race. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, he's sacked and they've
Mm.
cancelled their sponsorship with, well, they'd already removed, is it Earl Cali? Earl Cali, is that how you say it?
Possibly.
Their title sponsor, who is obviously owned by Mazepin's dad, who
Yeah.
is what they call like a Russian oligarch,
Okay.
which, like according to Google, just means, especially within Russian or within Russia, means basically a businessman with political influence.
Yeah.
And I know from my light like history reading this week that Putin, whenever he came up into politics from the KGB, basically gave all the favors out to the wealthy businessmen who then
Okay.
financially backed him. So I suppose like you could feel sorry. You could be like Mazepin, he's just sort of caught up
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
all of this.
Yeah.
But no, I don't know his dad's situation. But if he's seen as an oligarch, seen as a politically influential person with the
Yeah.
current president, then it's a case of, well, your dad with potentially the world's most evil guy at the moment. So is it just time to go? But
Yeah.
what's happened's happened. I suppose
It
they just
is.
want to Haas just want to move on as quickly as possible.
They do. They do.
It's funny. I was reading, so I think it was Sky Sports Germany released, like, sort of broke the rumor that Mazepin was gone, and they were
Okay.
like they said parting ways with Mazepin, and they then uh, Gunter was Gunter Steiner, the legend, was
He's so
interviewed.
good.
He was asked about it, and he was like, "No, that's complete hogwash. Like that's not happening." And then I think like 2 hours later, it's Mazepin contracts terminated.
He is great. He's so good. Like
I'm glad someone like him still has a job,
yeah.
because if this was football, he'd be out after three
Oh yeah.
races. But
Yeah.
they obviously just trust him, or else
Yeah.
can't get anyone to take the job. But
Yeah.
uh,
He's such a
it's mad.
character. Like even what and I love just watching Drive to Survive and the episodes that he's like that they follow Hassan and just follow him. But he's great, great, great character and good to have within the paddock for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Um, and then probably the last bit of news, just it's not news anymore, but Hamilton is back.
Yeah,
Did you did you think at any point he would leave?
I honestly like it's so funny because there's been so much. Whenever the
I'm
last
a
race
big
of the season
fan, by the way.
happens, oh, yeah. Nice. Whenever he whenever a season F1 season finishes and the next one starts, it does feel like a gap. It feels like there's been time away from Formula One. Whereas this, because it's finished just before Christmas, and I know we're now in March, but it's because there's been so much speculation after how the championship finished for starters. That went on for a good few weeks. It was talked about at least for the next 2 weeks after, um, which is the new year, but right up to the new year, and then it's Hamilton's not been seen. Yes, he's been knighted, but that's all he's been seen. Is he coming back? Is he not? And there's just so much talk about that, and then straight into pre-season. So it feels like there hasn't been a stop from last season to this season. But in that time, did I think I honestly was 50-50. I wasn't sure. At one part, I was swaying towards I think he would just be done if the FIA hadn't like with what's happened with Michael Massey and like, but I like if nothing was done and nothing was said, I think he would have been tempted to go. But I think he just knows he's still so good that he can potentially go on and get the 8th that he really wants. So he will come back. I know he said he's gonna come back stronger, and often you'll be like, oh, he's probably not, but I fully believe that he is. I think he's gonna come back, and I actually think we could see a slight different driving style of him now, and he will become not a little bit more like Max, but I definitely think that he will get his elbows out, as they say.
Yeah,
So, but yeah,
I see.
I'm
Definitely,
glad he's
like,
back. I'm glad he's back. I think the thing I'm most looking forward to is him and Russell. I think that I think Russell could really give him a go this season, and we will see more of a rivalry there than I think. Give it a few races. If Russell does well on points, he has a right to say here, like say Lewis has a bad race, some race, and Russell's a good bit ahead, and we're 7 races in. Like it'll be interesting. I think it'll complete it, and those two could, yeah, because even before Russell had the contract, then like you could see that Hamilton was like bigging up Bottas the whole time, being like, oh, he's the best teammate ever and all this stuff, and you can nearly see he didn't want it to be Russell just yet, but he knows that Mercedes need their next person to come up. So, and Russell, he is great. He's a phenomenal driver. You can
oh, it's
see
fantastic. Yeah,
in his qualifying, but you can see he's got pace, and he knows how to drive. I loved that race whenever he jumped in Lewis's car whenever he had COVID and went around the outside of Bottas in Bahrain. Like what it got in the form how it finished, but what a race he did.
yeah. Oh, what a statement! What a way to be like, yeah, I belong here.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Um, so yeah. Oh, by the way, let me just take this moment to say that you can follow us on all sort of social media channels, whichever one you like the most. Everything is at that F1 show, and this podcast will be up live on Mondays on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And wherever else I can get it up on. So that sounds a wee bit. The last bit sounded a wee bit wrong, but apologies for that. So yeah, at that F1 show. Yeah, if you give us a follow,
yeah.
that would be great, and keep in touch. And just send any questions you have, anything you want us to address, anything you feel we missed. Please just DM us, comment,
Anything we've got
however.
wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, good old Instagram. Get on there and listen to it, obviously, as well, which you have to do to be able to find out about this. But pre-season as well. Obviously, we talked about the news of Max and Mazepin and all that stuff, but pre-season's just happened. We haven't even talked about the driving yet and all that stuff. So the new cars, best looking one, Alan. You've seen them all as they've done all the reveals. What
yeah.
for you?
The
What's the
thing,
best
the
car?
the one I like most, well, the one I like most, like absolutely. Unfortunately, it won't be there this season. Is the Alfa Romeo camo, camouflage one they used. I love it. It was class. Like, can you imagine that with the camo helmet every weekend? That would be unreal. You just see 4 tires going around. And to be fair, actually, I think the Alfa Romeo, their actual
Yeah,
livery,
beautiful.
it's stunning.
So
So
nice. It
that's my
is.
favorite. All
Alfa
the
Romeo is
others
your
are
favorite, yeah?
pretty similar.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the least favorite looks awful, and they always do when they put in those BWT sponsors. Is the Alpine like
Yeah.
pink? Just unless the whole car is pink, and even at that, like
Like the
it
Force
just
India,
ruins
whenever
it.
it was all.
Yeah. Oh, and then obviously, oh, who was it? Um, Alfa, not Alfa, Aston Martin. What were they before? Who were
Sounds
they
like you've
before?
got a sneeze in the background.
That's my cat coughing up a herbal. A herbal. So,
Oh,
cheers, Todd.
amazing. I am
What's yours?
a Ferrari every
No,
day.
of course.
Ferrari fan. No,
You
but
actually, you really,
genuinely, I think it's a lovely car. I really do. I see when they brought that one out last year with the green Mission Vision thing or whatever it is that no one even knows what it is.
Mission Winnow. I think it is Mission Winnow.
Yeah, like I'm just like when they
Mission
put that on the
Ambition.
side, I was like, what is this? And like, I remember a friend texting me, he's just like, this is awful. I was like, it is. I'm trying to find the goodness. I was just like, oh, it's green, and the car's red, and it's like the Italian flag. I was just like, this is still awful. It is. And then it's half the season they don't even put it on. Then they put it back on, then they take it off, and it's like, I was just, this is bad. But then they brought this one out this year, and I was like, that looks great. It really does. I think it's a great looking car, and
It
even
reminds you of like the first sort of Ferrari you would have seen on TV, doesn't it?
yeah, like back whenever I was a little kid growing up, just sitting watching with dad. I remember that's probably one of the first Ferraris I remember. And like I seen a little thing on Homer Simpson, like whenever I was a boy sitting watching a race, and that's the car he's looking at now. It's Homer Simpson, like as we see him sitting looking at this car. It's just like that's exactly how it is for me. So whenever I seen that, I was like, I know which car this looks like. And then the guys in social media who are geniuses just put this image up, which I'll post it. I'll post it on uh, that F1 show on Instagram, and you can see as well. But it's really good. It's a lovely car. I do. There's a few others I really like as well, though. The Alfa Romeo is a beautiful looking car. Um, the Aston Martin is a bit better looking. Not, I don't fully love it, but it's a bit better looking. Which other one? The McLaren I do like. I wish they went with the. Do you remember last season Monaco? The Monte Carlo Grand Prix. Whenever they done that, and they had the light. It's
Oh
all like
yes,
a
the
light
yeah,
blue with a bit of
yeah.
orange, like the Golf one. Um, I loved I loved that the way it was done. So I wish they had sort of went that sort of thing. Obviously, it was a one-off, so they wouldn't. But I do like the how the McLaren looks.
I'm
Um,
just looking through them now. So
yeah, they are.
um,
It is nice. I think I like orange and blue. I think it goes
yeah.
well. Do you think on appearances? What do you think? Obviously, Haas have a wild card now. They can go with. Do you think they go back to the black and silver like they used to, or do you think they'll go for something completely different?
I don't know. Do you think they won't get a sponsor in that will dictate that? Do you think it's just
A sponsor normally doesn't, other other than if you're the pink. What is it? The water company? What's that one? B with Alpine.
BW, is it BWT? Is that it?
Yeah, yeah.
What?
That so unless you're
No,
them and you determine your
BWT.
color, like no other, not many other like Red Bull I know,
And Ferrari, obviously, it's
with their
just the
brand,
car.
but Ferrari's just yeah the first yeah like so I
Yeah,
think
that's a fair
that
point.
like the sponsor doesn't overly change it that much. Clearly, it did whenever the Russian flag was put on the Haas. But I think that they could go back. I think they will. They will. They can't just leave it that white with the
That's
black near the
right.
bottom.
Now that you're saying that, I remember, yes, because that was in like almost the first season of Drive to Survive. They had the
Yeah,
black and like the
yeah,
gold almost.
yeah. It was
Yes.
like that
Oh,
that
yeah, that looked
rich
great.
energy drink. Remember that the
Yes,
gold
that
on the
lasted
back.
for like a month. Hey. Um,
Yeah. So I think so. Yeah, cars look great. They really do, and the shape of them as well. Obviously, the whole shape has changed. The back wing, the front wings, all that. But you can actually see how each team just had a blank canvas and went away and started again. And the difference, the main bit I see is like just where the side pods and all that part, the side where beside where the driver sits, the sheer size difference. So you've got Ferraris, which is huge and clearly well shaped for the aerodynamics when it goes over to push it down. I was watching the Ted Kravitz, the Ted's Notebook during the week, and he it was so random, but it was so good. He explained it at the time. I was like, "What is he talking about?" And then I seen the car. I was like, "I know exactly what he's talking about." But he got a baby bell just on. I was just open up the baby bell. It was so crazy. You put the cheese was in it. It was just new. You took out his wrapper, and I was like, "What? What will I do with this?" So you'd be like, you'd either just get rid of it. He was standing beside a bin, put the wrapper in the bin, and put the cheese in his pocket. Like, why would you put like it was warm? And he's just like he put the cheese in his pocket. He's like, I'll have that later as a snack. I was like, that's pretty disgusting. But he then got the two little red bits of the wax of a baby bell and sort of bent them round to show what the air would do. So all the other, if you look at the McLaren, it's really narrow. It goes in so quick. If you look down it, it's like a V, really, really tight, and it goes in so much. Whereas the Ferrari stays really wide. So the air, if you think, if you
oh,
think
yeah,
of the baby
yeah.
bell one, a semicircle. It goes up, hits the top, and goes in and down and pushes it down just to give it that bit more downforce. Super
Yep.
smart.
Sort of
That's
like
they said.
you can see
Yeah.
it there. Oh,
So that's the yeah.
if
So
you're
like
if
it's
you're listening to this, I'm just showing the Ferrari on the screen, and then in
yeah.
comparison to what you're saying, like you can see the yeah, like
Yeah, so
the
if you have a an image, I'll post
the
up an
Mc,
image
yeah.
looking down on the fry. Like there's one of the photographers got a great shot of it looking down, and it's so good. It really is. It looks incredible, um, but they've been very smart around that. And I think if other teams had longer, they would try and do something else. Or you could even see in some of the developments coming in that could be changed. Definitely next season. That or we will soon see. Like we'll see race pace what that looks like. But the definitely from the Mercedes, it's so tight, so everything's so compact, and the Ferrari is very wide. The McLaren looks pretty wide as well. But yeah, main thing is pace, which we will never know fully until the end of the first race, not even the first lap, because you don't know what they're doing with fuel strategies and all that stuff, and tire wear. But after the first race, we will have a bit of a better understanding. Pre-season, I know that like what is the pace at the minute, like race pace.
Well, that's what you like. As in, I sort of listened to the media and the commentators saying how obviously Ferrari were the fastest, and I was like, oh, what do you think? I think they'll be obviously Sainz and Leclerc, two amazing drivers, and
Yeah,
probably have a really good shot this year. But you were saying how Ferrari
hopefully.
normally. You were telling me about the whole sandbagging thing, where a lot of cars don't actually go like full throttle
Yeah.
during preseason testing, whereas Ferrari, what I find really interesting that you were saying Ferrari do.
Yeah, I think that like it's an opportunity. Like Ferrari, well, they might still hold back a bit, but Ferrari definitely they're using preseason testing to see the best that they can. They're going for it. Also, why not? Like it's go for it, and like they hit the news because they're like, look at Ferrari, they're doing well.
Yeah,
Like
from a
like
brand point of view,
yeah,
it's
a brand point,
fantastic.
all their sponsors are going to be seen, the photos go up, all that stuff. So it's a smart, like Alpine haven't been put up at all. Like there's talk that they haven't even really used DRS, that they've went out full fuel load each time, so that it's heavy and they can't really show the real pace. So we don't know where they are at. Are they at the front? We don't know, but they're not talked about because they didn't set the fastest lap. So I think like yeah, it's tactics, isn't it? That's the beauty of this. It's not just um
Yeah, because you've
yeah,
got because
our
they're
cars are
like
new.
Carlos Sainz, obviously with Ferrari, he actually in Barcelona did the most laps. Said just from a brand point of view, they're out there, like
Yeah,
able to see the red car that every boy sort of thinks of whenever he thinks of car, which is
okay.
fantastic. And
Yeah,
then Hamilton obviously set the fastest lap, I think, the
yeah,
fastest times, but they
yeah.
ran the hard compound the whole time
Okay,
because there was chat of Verstappen obviously being down. No, sorry. They ran soft compound. I think they set that on the soft compound or maybe
okay.
medium. And then there was chat about how Verstappen was, um, well, just the fact that Hamilton outpaced Verstappen, but Verstappen ran the hard compound the entire time, and I think
Okay.
was within fractions of a second still. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's teeing up to be fantastic. But yeah, like you say,
It
like
is.
testing doesn't actually show much, which
Yeah.
means it just builds it up because then all the excitement's there for first race, which is two
It
weeks
is.
away.
It
Well,
is.
we'll hopefully be breaking it down in 2 weeks.
Yep. Oh, I can't wait. So excited. So excited. So one thing I'd love to do in this, as we do these podcasts and as we record these, I'm going to fire a random question at you, Alan, each week. So I'm going to call
Okay,
the or hashtag Ask Alan is what I'll call it. So
creative.
if you're on social media and you're following us, if you have a random question to ask Alan, please send it to me or email us it.
Or deeply
That
specific question.
that F1 show at gmail.com. If you want to email it, that would be amazing. But so my question to you, so Alan, I haven't texted him this or anything. So every time I like you're going red. So you're
It
like
was sunny today in Northern Ireland, so it's
sunburned.
just sun.
Uh, so I yes, I'm going to ask you a random question that I've never asked you before. So you can just answer on the spot. They're not hard at all. So what is truer, that Formula One is just cars going around in circles, or football is just a bunch of people running after a ball?
Oh, flip. Oh, neither. Like, but if I had to choose one, I'd say football because Formula One is absolutely not just cars going around in a circle.
Yeah, I agree.
Although when they took away refueling, I felt like that for a couple of years.
Yeah,
But no, absolutely. Like, it's that. That's what was so amazing about Drive to Survive was that it showed you that it wasn't just guys stepping into a car and pushing the accelerator for
yeah,
60 laps. Like, it's so much more. And that's
it
what, like,
is.
once you get, like, again, Drive to Survive shows the technicalities of that. And Sky Sports coverage is phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's probably Drive to Survive obviously pushes the audience there, and then they actually do a really good job at keeping you there with all the stats and the um, everything, like from G with tires from the start, from like pits, like undercuts in the pit lane, just everything.
yeah,
It's so much more than just driving in a circle. Sorry, that was probably
yeah.
longer than you'd hoped for.
No, no, didn't expect me anything. I agree. I do. Like football is so obviously there's so much in football as well. You've got like all the work that footballers do during the week. They're practicing of everything. But if you had to pick a one, I would, as a Formula One fan anyway, a football fan as well. But I definitely think Formula One is so much more. Even if you're listening to this and you're with somebody who's never watched Formula One, go watch Netflix first. Drive to Survive. It will help so much get into Formula One and the background of it, like the business part to it, the competitiveness of individuals, not even just the teams. Like it's so good. It really is. So you will see so much more. But yeah, there we go. That's my Ask Alan for this week.
Oh, was that it? Just the one? Okay, sweet.
Yeah, just one question.
So happy days.
Sweat over.
Pass. I passed then.
Some people will be shouting, no, not at all. They're still just going around in circles.
No, that's NASCAR.
Football is so much more.
Flip. Well, that was great. For any that don't know, that I'm a Mercedes. Well, I'm actually a Lewis Hamilton fan. I'm not a Mercedes fan, although I love Mercedes as a result of loving Lewis Hamilton. Um, and Roger is a Ferrari fan. Or were you
Yeah,
trying to keep that? Were you trying to keep that hidden until Ferrari start
no,
doing well again? No.
it'll become obvious pretty quick until they're doing well again. Yeah, always do.
Um, do you like without obviously there's like it's too early to tell. We'll wait until maybe next week before we like start predicting things. But Ferrari, do they? Where are they this year?
They
Where do you
they
think? Are
they
they
have. I
top
think.
three?
Oh yeah, they'll stay top three.
Oh yeah, because of course they finished top three, didn't they? Did
They
they?
did. They
They
did.
did.
Yep.
Okay.
Beat
Well, yeah. Are
McLaren.
they top three then?
It was tight. It was tight, but then at the end they got it. But yes, I think they will. I'd love them. I hope it's more than just a two-team race, two-car race. I think it's two-car championship, not two-car race. I hope that there's more than that. It'd be great if it's four. If it's three, happy days. If it's four, even better. But I think Ferrari need to be up there. This is the only decade that they've never won a championship. Did you know that last in the from 2010 2020? The only decade they've never won a championship. Sad, but
Wow.
they will get there
Like
again.
phenomenal record, but yeah, sad that
Yeah,
that record's now
and still the team that every
gone.
driver wants to drive for.
I know.
But they are
Power of the
yeah.
brand.
It is. It definitely is. But they will. They will get there. I hope sooner rather than later. I hope it's this season. It'd be great if it is. And I think they've got a real chance, especially with the driving lineup that they've got, like Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. What
Absolutely.
like they really are good. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Well, we'll dive a wee bit deeper into that and sort of further predictions next week.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I think we'll leave it there. I think this week
yeah.
we've
Been fun.
ran on quite a bit. So
Been fun.
oh, that was great. It was
We've
everything I
went
hoped
from
it would be. And like
we've
ultimately,
went
we're
from
just
Hot Wheels
chatting,
cars to cats having parking
coughing up
pits.
fur balls,
For
having
balls.
nothing. Cats having nothing happening in my kitchen.
Oh, it's been
Oh,
great.
mate, good speaking to you.
You too.
So hopefully we'll get this out. You'll be listening to it on Monday, and hopefully every Monday for at least the rest of the season. And yeah, everywhere on social media at that F1 show. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.